All right, the entity that's engaging criminal surveillance, including on the video of the internet, is again with simultaneity to my documentation, pulling up a third party who's being documented, amplifying the ongoing sound of helicopter activity, which is not only the criminal elements of monitoring, it's the communication of a threat, and that serves to enhance the term in federal prison. You punish the people of the state who are monitoring with that entity. This is Yang Soo Choi of 1814 North Alvarado Street, apartment number 5, who was threatening my life in concert with that state. Not only do you see that in video where he's group stalking in the path. This is the ongoing passive aggressive and entirely life-threatening criminal conduct in concert with the entity that uses helicopters to terrorize and stalk and engage in surveillance and federal stalking on the video of the internet. And you see Yang Soo Choi and James Chu engaging in the demonic and criminal elements of monitoring in multiple videos and images. And while he is being documented again on the communication device, which is subject to what is criminal conduct, federal stalking is underway on this communication device occurring in the workplace. The entity is communicating a threat. And again, that is the 11th time. It's 11:49. Excuse me, that's more than 11. That's 13. The entity going, again, just pacing back and forth, flying over my office, flying around my office, as you see in the multiple videos captured today. This is an enhancement that goes directly toward the people of the state. All 59 units are systematically and ceaselessly engaged in this criminal system with the state of California that is engaging in what is surveillance. They are also engaged in what is federal stalking on the venue of the internet. That includes speaker companies and Todd Speaker, the owner, Todd Speaker's employees, who are third-party group stalkers. All of the aforesaid are third-party group stalkers, including the company. All right. So I want to be clear. This is documentation of what is also James Chu. He's going to federal prison. These are if they've been granted naturalization, for example, federal group stalking and monitoring, federal stalking. This is state terrorism. Is the grounds upon which that will be revoked. You are going to be deported after you serve time in federal prison, and substantial time, because the entity is engaging in a pattern of what is seeking to take the life, threaten the safety of the target individual who is enforcing their rights. This is what this criminal conduct that I'm documenting is informing you about, and it's a well-documented pattern. The same entity, that is the people of the state, who are acting in concert with that state to place you under surveillance in both relevant position and on the venue of the internet, engages in documented patterns of obstruction of justice, exhibiting hostility, which you are exhibiting through the ongoing multiple times of stalking me in helicopter, making that known, as I documented today, May 2nd, 2024, but also engaging in what is criminal summoning and literally artificially engineering information, creating literally alternative facts, fake news, for purposes of kidnapping while you don't even have any authority under the law, while you're stalking, engaging in the pattern of conduct. This is that same entity that acts together. While the entity is engaging in threatening your life, posing the highest threat, while you're documenting the entity, that entity is going to suffer those consequences. And that's the significance of me documenting it. That's an enhancement while Yang Shu is documented and being threatening my life while he's being documented. And that is speaking to what is his multiple criminal acts, federal policy, by virtue of living at the facilitated venue, by the way. You're already going to federal prison. And exhibiting malice and impunity while coming to my office, engaging in the elements of monitoring in the face of the target individual, which is tantamount to literally holding a gun to their head and threatening their life, holding a knife to their neck, threatening their life. You're doing so while you are criminally monitoring and group stalking in the face of the targeted individual. That is a real-time threat. While you are representing the government, acting with the government, engaging in state surveillance and federal stalking. And this is what Yang Soo Choi and James Chu engaged in, including Carlo Lopez, who was affiliated with speaker companies, going to federal prison, bursting into my office. I want to be clear, that's the state that's bursting into my office, the same state that's flying around repeatedly over 11 times today, because I'm not only criminally prosecuting them for the system of surveillance and federal stalking on the venue of the internet via communication devices in concert with the people of the state, but they are inherently engaging in what is a systematic violation of federal laws that govern privacy policies that the federal government is very serious about, because there's a whole body of comprehensive laws governing the treatment of personal and private information, and they are inherently being violated by that very police department that is group stalking and engaging in federal stalking. The ongoing simultaneous conduct of the entity that's on the venue of the internet, calling my phone, and group stalking in the path are engaged in federal stalking. And while you are engaged in federal stalking, that is the unlawful distribution and sharing of private information, which the criminal system by virtue of engaging in that criminal system, is violating those laws governing the HUD housing and federal assistance programs. And it's not just the ones that I pointed out. There's a whole body of evidence that the police department is going to be prosecuted for, which is representing the state of California and the people of the state that the entity is violating. And that is, again, not, remember, Silverview Townhomes is the entity. The hillside, the people of the state living on the hillside, they're all violating that body of federal laws, under that same body of federal laws. They are doing so. Those that are under the age of majority, Susana Martinez's daughter, Hector Aparicio's son, okay, Lucy Santos's sons. The entity is engaging in what is Tiffany Sherez, that demon, and her daughter, 15 years old. They're also monitoring with communication devices, sharing information for purposes of keeping the target individual under surveillance, knowing, anticipating what you're doing, what you're saying. And you also know that because of that simultaneity of conduct by the state that arrives in helicopter, okay? That's beyond a coincidence. There are no coincidences in the specific environment, by the way. And this is that which is already in conformity to a well and long documented pattern of conduct. So while I'm documenting that, the entity that is posing a real-time safety concern to the public, what they're doing to me is speaking to what's to come and to be forecasted for the country, okay? Because you're under surveillance and the government is hostile to your enforcing your rights. And what the government is doing while you enforce your rights, while it is exposed, it is showing the threat that it is to American citizens. Okay, hostile to your safety, hostile to the enforcement of your rights, hostile to in any way standing down. Okay, the entity doesn't stand down. The entity engages in what is frenzy conduct, psychotic conduct, coming into your face, and again, placing that knife to your neck, placing that gun to your head, threatening your life in plain sight. Okay, engaging in what is terrorism in plain sight, and then getting out of their vehicle. All right, this is psychopath kind of getting out of their vehicle like they did not just engage in what is assault and battery and sexual violence with all manner of circus lights all over the place, which is a demon, as though it didn't happen. That's a psychopath. Those psychopaths are stalking in helicopters. Those psychopaths are surrounding, living at the venue. Those psychopaths are coming in and out of my office, coming around asking for work orders, coming around and paying their rent, acting in concert with the state. That's a threat to your life. That's terrorism. They are also those stalkers that are affiliated with these companies that are engaging in that same violation of existing federal policies governing. Remember, the industry that I'm in is revealing on the surrounding federal policies that these companies and their employees, all of the entities monitoring together. That's the relevance of what I'm documenting, and that ongoing admission. That's no coincidence. As I document that, as I expose that, as I speak specifically to that, which, by the way, any federal government that's following the law, following what the criminal system is leading you to, you would have reached that conclusion by yourself. Okay, well, dang, if they're monitoring and they're doing so on the computer and you're exchanging personal information, you would have reached that already. All I'm doing is pointing it out. The psychopath, the checker mind state, okay, the short-sighted demon-possessed entity that is not thinking about the greater picture, or is hoping that nobody else is. They're not, but let me be clear, they're not even thinking. They have not even fathomed the multiple ways in which they are going to be prosecuted and the consequences that they're going to suffer. And it is beyond a coincidence, okay? No coincidences in the specific environment where you've got the engineer light appearing in the private space, on the property, in the office. They're monitoring. It's hovering, stalking conduct, knowing any and everything that you're doing at all times, including on the internet via communication devices. And that entity engages in what is heightening that frequency of stalking in helicopter and making it known as I am speaking specifically about that additional body of federal laws but you are inherently violating as an entity. Vicariously and directly, they're violating HUD policies, federal policies governing private information in the real estate industry, providing federal housing assistance. They're inherently violating that, okay? The entity knows that. They also know the entity is also acting in concert. Again, all of that body of evidence, that ongoing pattern of conduct is speaking to what they also know. You are stalking and engaging in psychological terror. You are engaging in the criminal elements of monitoring. You are engaged in federal stalking in concert with that entity, not ignorantly so, while they're flying over my office, hovering above my office in a black helicopter, and you're on the phone with me, exercising fictitious authority as my supervisor, asking whether I they don't use the word document. Demons don't use that word. Ask you, are you recording? It's called audible activity, and that's also going to be relevant to the competency hearings that the people of the state are going to be subject to when they are declared as psychopaths who are a threat to the public, engaged in state surveillance in the state of California. Okay? It is currently, again, 11:58 a.m. This is P.O.C.